first time in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.
Umar Ahmed, IFL TV, MTK Global. We're at the Punch London gym today. I'm joined by light heavyweight British champ Frank Buglioni. How are you, Frank?
Yeah, very well, thanks Umar. Nice to see you, mate.
Right, let's get straight into it. You've got Callum Johnson, 24th of March at the O2,
yeah.
Chief support to Dillian White, Lucas Brown. How do you rate Callum as an opponent?
I rate Callum very highly. He's Commonwealth champion. He's undefeated. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far. So no, he's gonna present a good test and another undefeated scalp to add to my record.
As it is chief support on such a big stage at the O2, how important isn't it to get, not just to win, but obviously get the stoppage and look impressive?
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I want to impress now. As I mentioned a little while ago, I've been working on a few things. I've rectified a few fundamental issues, which I won't go into too many details, but I'm hitting hard again, and I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying my training, and the spars and the training camps. They're speaking volumes at the moment. So I'm very much looking forward to getting in there and showing the massive improvements that I've made.
You said you've rectified a few things. Obviously, it's been a while since your last out at the Millennium Stadium against Craig Richards.
Yeah.
How has that time helped you to improve under Don Charles?
Well, this is it. I mean, you've either got two options when you have a bit of time off. You either kind of go out partying and let your hair down, which there's nothing wrong with doing that for a kind of like a short spell to clear your mind and come back. But as a professional fighter, you can't let it take over. For me, I know that I live in the gym day in, day out. When I have time off, it may be a little bit of time off from the gym, but I'll be doing other things. I'll be working on mobility, I'll be working on flexibility, then I'll do strength phases. So I'll just keep building, I'll keep improving all different areas and aspects of my game. And this time around, I've really worked on my skill level. I've really worked on my punching techniques, my footwork, my positioning, my timing. And as I say, I feel like it's all coming together. It's not there yet. It's still going to take a bit of time. And looking at the top of the tree, looking at the world level champions, I see what they do, and I'm not there yet. But I'm getting closer, and I know within a year, 18 months, my timing will be there, my technique will be there, and it will be the same, and then we'll be on a level playing field. But at the moment, I'm top of the British division, and I intend to go and show that, and then I want to move on to the European fringe world level and show that I'm the best in Europe, and then kind of moving forward. Yeah,
I was just going to ask you about that actually. So since your loss to Tudorov down at Super Middle, you've built some good momentum up. Obviously stoppage over Hosea Burton, epic fight. Ricky Summers, points win, and also Craig Richards. So you've got some momentum going.
Yeah, and they're three good fighters.
Yeah.
This is what people, they're all undefeated fighters. Craig Richards, very skillful fighter. Trained at super middleweight. He's going to be a good light heavyweight, Craig Richards, and he's an awkward customer. And I see that fight that he had with me is going to be a massive push for him. Hosea Burton, he's a very good fighter. I give it to him and he gives it to me, and there's rivalry there. But no, I respect him as a fighter, and he's a good fighter. And when he has the right opposition in front of him, it brings the best out of him. So that was a good solid win. But having said that, I think I've broken Hosea Burton now, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. And I think if we did ever meet again, I'd put the nail in his coffin. And then Ricky Summers, I had him back for sparring. He's shown big improvements. Granite chin, very awkward. He's a solid fighter, and he's going to be a test for a few fighters in the division, and I expect to see him go on and do good things.
So yeah, obviously your main focus is Callum Johnson on the 24th, win the British outright.
Yeah.
But so you have said European and world next. Is that where you're going?
Well, you've got to have long-term and short-term goals, and I know my long-term goals. And obviously, like most fighters in the sport, we want to get to world title status. You want to win that world title, and you want to defend it successfully. That's where the money is, and that's where the legacy is. So that's what everyone wants to do, and I'm no different. And my aspirations are there. And unlike a few fighters, I know what it takes to get there. I know the levels, and I know the work that you've got to put in to get to those levels. And skillful wise as well. I mean, it's when you get to this stage in boxing, most people or most fighters, you have similar genetic strengths. So I'd say 90% of fighters, they've got good chins. 90% of fighters, they can dig a bit. Then you've got your exceptions that have granite chins and can really whack. And then skill level and experience. So to get to those higher echelons of the sport, you need to put the work in the skill and that department, and get your experience. And there's a few people that kind of they're trying to jump that, and they don't realise, and they're a little bit naive about what it takes to get to those levels. I won't mention any names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And I know that, so I know I've got to work hard, and I'm taking my time. And so when I get to that world level again, I want to be capable, and I want to be in there with a shot of winning.
Right, moving away from yourself a bit now. I know it was a few weeks ago, but have you obviously watched Groves Eubank?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you make of that?
This is what I'm talking about. So Groves, he's been at that level, he's mixed at that level, and I mean the first Froch fight, he was in there, and he was looking really good. The second Froch fight, there's a few little flaws, but he knows that, and he's corrected them. The Badou Jack fight was give and take. So he's been at that higher world level. Eubank hasn't. He's done well at British level, but he hasn't really made that transition, and he hasn't put the work in. He hasn't worked on fundamental things. He hasn't got his footwork correct. His head movement's a little bit off. His timing's a little bit off, and his overall game plan for that fight was off. You could tell the world champion, and you could tell the up and comer. And I thought George Groves bossed the fight. I think I gave Eubank 2 or 3 rounds. So that was a conclusive victory for George Groves, and that reiterates my point on how important experience, taking your time and learning the fundamentals are. Sure.
There has been a little bit of talk of Groves potentially moving up to 175 after his fight with Callum Smith.
Yeah.
What do you make of that, and how do you reckon he'd compete with the top guys at 175, like Kovalev, Bivol, Stevenson?
They're very good fighters. Having said that, George Groves is a great tactician, and George Groves is a friend of mine. But should he move up to 175, I'd certainly be interested in making that fight. And that's the first I've heard of it, but it kind of makes sense that they didn't bring me in for sparring for the last camp. So maybe that's news to my ears. But that side, I'm focusing on one fight at a time. Yeah, there's some interesting moves especially in the domestic scene at 175.
Mm-hmm. Going on to the world scene at 175, did you catch Kovalev and Bivol's stoppages on the weekend? And what do you make of that?
Very good, very impressive. Bivol, I picked Barrera because he'd been in with a higher level of opponents. He showed some great skills. He's obviously got that experience, and Bivol for me was a little bit untested. Obviously he's done nothing wrong, but he was a little bit untested. So that for me was the kind of the coming out fight, and then what he done to Barrera, great fight, and showed some serious skills. His footwork's phenomenal. His power's very good. His timing's very good. He's going to be one to beat. Kovalev I probably lean towards at the moment because he's got the experience, and he's got power in both hands. I mean, he can really punch. He was kind of like the other guy looked like he was in a car crash. So Kovalev's got that sort of ridiculous power. So it's a very interesting division at the moment, but things, they all change, you know. Like in boxing terms, 18 months, 2 years time, the division could be wide open. It goes in those phases.
So if you think Kovalev and Bivol did get it on, you'd favour Kovalev, would you?
At the moment, yeah. But I can kind of see Kovalev starting to age a little bit. I think Andre Ward highlighted a few of his weaknesses, certainly to the body. I know he likes the vodka, so that could weaken the body. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. I think Badou Jack and Adonis Stevenson is a very good fight. Yeah. I lean towards Stevenson, awkward, southpaw, powerful. Might be a little bit too explosive for Jack, but should Jack come through, then he certainly cemented himself as a serious contender at 175. And then you've got Turbiev lurking around with granite in both hands as well. So yeah, it's a naughty division.
It is buzzing in the 175 scene.
Yeah. Just my luck.
Domestically and worldwide actually, but coming back to the domestic scene, I can't interview you and not bring up a certain man. You probably know what's coming up next. What is happening with the Yarde fight?
I mean, for me at the moment, I'm obviously focused
Content
on Callum
24.
Johnson. That's so a lot of people are coming out and saying, "Oh, why don't you fight Anthony Yarde? Don't fight Callum Johnson. Don't fight this one." Callum Johnson is my mandatory challenger. I've got to fight. If I want to keep the British title, which I said all along, that's what I want to do.
And winning it outright, of course, that's big for you. Yeah.
Against all undefeated fighters.
Yeah.
I've got to fight Callum Johnson. He's also a Commonwealth champion. He's also undefeated. He's got a similar record to Anthony Yarde. So once I beat Callum Johnson, and not looking past him, it's going to be a tough competitive fight, which I expect to come out on top on. Then I'll start calling out these names, and we'll see if they take these fights. But with Anthony Yarde, he's a similar Chris Eubank. He's not as good as Chris Eubank, but he's all talk and he's all hype. And I've said this time and time again, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's shown some good skills. He's obviously got good power, but we ain't seen him take. Well, we have seen him take a few shots back, and his defence is a little bit leaky. But we ain't seen him take shots against guys that can whack. And believe you me, if he takes a right hand off me, he's going to feel it. And I ain't going to let him up. So it's going to be an interesting fight if it does happen. I'm a little bit sceptical because I don't think they want it.
I was going to say that if it does happen with you and Anthony Yarde, can that go ahead with you being on Sky and Matchroom and Anthony Yarde being with Frank Warren and BT?
Yeah, well, Eddie Hearn's already said that he's happy for me to travel. He's got confidence in me beating Anthony Yarde.
So you wouldn't mind going on a BT shot?
Nah, I don't care. Listen, the ring is my home. I'll fight him in his back garden if he wants. No problem with me travelling. I don't care where I go. I went and won the British title on the away show. I didn't have a promoter. It was his home venue. I went and snatched it from him. So yeah, I've got no qualms with doing that.
What would actually interest you more then? The Anthony Yarde fight, obviously not looking past Callum Johnson on the 24th, but say you do get through that and win the British outright, would a fight with Anthony Yarde interest you more, or a rematch with Hosea Burton?
I'd like to beat Burton up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to do the Burton. Yeah,
fair enough, Frank.
Where Burton and Yarde, I'd like to wipe the pair of them out. That would kind of cement me as the best British light heavyweight. I feel that I am that now. But beating those two would certainly, there's no questions, there's no doubts, and then beat them two, kind of you're ready for the next level. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to do that. Well, thanks for talking to IFL TV today, Frank. Have you got any final words possibly for Anthony Yarde and Hosea Burton? You're safe for the time being. My mind and my energy is focused on Callum Johnson, and Callum Johnson, I'm coming. We're going to have a good fight. No disrespect here, because I think you're a good man, but you've been out the ring for a long time, and I intend to draw the line on your career now. Well, I'm sure we'll catch up with you again, Frank, on Fight Week. But for now, thanks for talking to IFL TV.
In history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.